Hello everybody, what's up? So, in this video we're actually gonna feature Element TD2, one of my absolute favorite games as of late, and that surprises me just about as it might surprise some of you. I don't know how well you know my game taste, but generally speaking, I don't like tower defenses. This one is different, however, for a bunch of reasons that we're going to go over in this video. And I'm actually going to just play around for you. And you will see how it differs from a lot of the different other TDs. First, a very big thing about this one is that it's a very active tower defense. Most tower defenses, you just kind of sit around and save up until you can afford the next tower or whatever. This one is way more active and requires maybe a bit more thinking on your feet. And yeah. Anyway, so I do want to give a little bit of a disclaimer. My I was about to say my potato, but what I meant to say was my potato PC is horrible at it's way below the today's standards, so to speak. So actually recording this game while also playing it is a bit much for my computer. So I will have very low settings. The game looks way more beautiful than you will see in this video, and yeah, it might also get like some minor FPS drops from time to time. I hope you can stand that, and I hope that you will enjoy the game nonetheless. Now, I will just quickly go in here because this is one of the big things about the game. So, with Element TD specifically, the thing is that you will get elements every 5 rounds, or you will get an elemental boss, or you can make an element pick. So, let's say I pick light, then there will be like a light boss coming out, and that boss will. I will need to kill it, and then I will gain its abilities. And as we kill bosses throughout the round, we will gain access to new towers. So if we do, for example, light and nature here, we would get the life tower, which on every 6 kills on level 1, it actually generates another life for me as long as I have 50 or less lives. If I have more than 50 lives, it takes a bit more for it to actually generate life. And this is like something you can also build like pure towers, pure nature, pure light, or whatnot. So it all comes down to mixing these elements, and that's kind of one of the big mechanics that makes this tower defense almost infinitely replayable. For those of you who like to compete, there's leaderboards on every map, and there's a lot of interesting things you can optimize and stuff like that, but we're not going to talk too much about that today. We're also just quickly going to go over the fact that there are a couple of different ways to play the game. Duel is very interesting. For example, you end up on the same map as someone else, and you can there will be creeps coming out from 2 different portals. In one portal comes your creeps, and in the other portal, the opponents. And your towers actually heal your creeps while they damaged your opponents. There's also abilities and stuff, and you need to, or you can make it. You can, for example, sell your opponent's towers. They get fully refunded though, so they can just rebuild them. But that's the point, either way. There you can mess with your opponent quite a bit in this, and then there's teams where you cooperate on one side in order to make it through, and co-op, which features completely different maps and generally requires more players to complete, and FFA, where you're alone on your side of the field and competing against others, and as soon as anyone clears a round, it immediately sends out, or after a few seconds, sends out the next wave, no matter whether you're actually done with your wave or not. But yeah, I just had to click something there. We're actually going to take a look at this. So we're going to get into a match as quickly as possible because the match itself is going to take a little while, but I hope you will enjoy the gameplay nonetheless because it's actually fairly interesting. So I'm going to play on very hard. I could do insane, but I want to be able to focus a little bit on actually talking about what I'm doing as well and why I'm doing it. and I'm not sure. On Insane, I might need to try hard a bit more. So, yeah. Then there's the elements. And as I said, you pick your element every 5 waves, and as well as the start of the round. And the point, I'm actually going to play on random because that is more interesting. Random essentially means that you get a random elemental boss every 5 waves instead of picking it yourself. I could play on full. I could play short or run rounds or whatever, but you're gonna see all of that soon enough. I'm gonna choose full here, even though the first couple of 10 waves or so can be pretty boring. Simply because that will give me some space to actually explain the game to you. This may also serve as a bit of a tutorial for those who may not be as good at the game and already like it. Interest is on. This is one of the most important mechanics in the game. We're going to talk about this very soon. Chaos makes the wave order random, which makes it more interesting. You don't know which order the waves will come out in, and then you need to adapt per wave, so to speak, and that's more interesting. I'm not gonna toggle any of the other things here, and this is pretty much one of the more enjoyable solo setups that I like to play. But without further ado, let's actually get into it. Have I muted the game? I think I muted the game. Just a moment. Yeah, I did. Okay. There we go. Okay, so first off, what you're gonna notice, I want you to look at 2 things mostly in this playthrough. First of all, we're gonna have a look up here. There's darkness. It's weak to light. We did in fact start with interest, which is gonna make our the gold tick that comes every 15 seconds more effective. But we're gonna talk about that very soon because we're actually gonna prepare for this first wave here. It's gonna come out of the blue portal and go into the red portal in order for us to lose lives. So this interest thing is something that I'm constantly gonna be keeping a track of. When that interest meter hits, I get gold based on how much gold I have at the time. Which means that if I sell my towers and rebuild them, if I sell my towers and then let the gold tick come in, I get more gold. Simply put. So now it says 1, I sold my towers, I get 8. So this way I can stack up gold, and I need to keep repositioning my towers, and I need to actually play more actively, simply put, in order to min-max my gold income. Since we got interest first, we are getting more gold out of this gold tick. And we random this, by the way, instead of an element. And essentially, that means that we don't have an element from the beginning. As you can see, none of this is on lockdown here. So we're not actually going to have to think about too much in the early waves, aside from actually making sure that we make use of the interest. We're just going to stack up as many towers as possible, clear the waves, and hope for an element on level 5. Because it's actually possible, I think, that we get another interest. We should hopefully get an element, though. So there's not, as I said, the first couple of waves, there's not too much to actually think about, other than if you actually get an element. Because let's say I got nature right now as my first random, then I wouldn't want to build the nature towers against this wave, because they were fire, and nature obviously is weak to fire. So they would deal less damage, and then I would actually have built these towers anyway. But on every other wave, I would probably have built the nature towers instead. Ooh, that was very close that I missed the interest right there. I could definitely have sold. a bit earlier and just rebuilt one tower. But yeah, I decided to take the risk. Up here you can actually see how much gold you've gotten from interest. As you can see, it says total interest 126. So that is how much I've actually gotten from these gold ticks. We got darkness, that's fine. The darkness towers are a single target tower on its own. And if this tower kills a creep, any excess damage transfers to a nearby creep and deals an additional 12% of their max health. Darkness would have been strong against water, but we're not up against water next wave, we're up against earth, so we're probably going to keep building earth towers for a bit. Actually, something you can do is you can build a couple of cannon towers like this and just have the darkness towers pick off the weak ones when they come around the corner. We're gonna watch out with darkness towers on the next wave though, because we're about to get bulky light, and light is strong against darkness. So we don't want to use the darkness towers next wave. Since they are bulky, this is by the way when modifiers start coming in. Bulky means that they are bigger enemies generally that have way more health. And they also take 2 lives, I think it is. Bulky and take 2 lives each, yeah. So if they actually get through, they would take 2 lives from me instead of 1. But these arrow towers, since obviously the arrow towers deal a bit more damage, but they don't have any AoE, so you generally want to use these arrow towers versus anything that is tanky. Now we have undead. That's the next modifier, and undead means that they actually res when they've been killed. You want AoE against that so that you can take out as many of them as possible as early as possible, so that you don't, like, maybe they come all the way up here and then you have like an arrow tower or something and then you pick it off, but hey, that was just its first life. So yeah, you generally want AoE against these. It actually does say weak to AoE on it. The next wave is also a bulky one. I'm actually gonna let my interest take in here before I build anything at all, because I'm not worried about this wave at all. My darkness towers will deal with this just perfectly, since they are single target towers and they're stronger than arrow towers. Normally you wouldn't have bulky waves come in that close to each other, since we just had it like 2 waves ago. Just a quick thing here. I'm placing a cannon tower up here. It's just to trigger these shields, because these are shielders, and their ability is triggered whenever they take damage. And I think it has like a cooldown of... yeah, it actually says cooldown of 6 seconds. Okay. Also, water is weak to darkness, so I'm just picking these off like flies. We get nature now. We're gonna have nature dark, which means we're gonna have disease towers, and we're gonna get to those in a bit. But what I was about to say, there's a longer wait time every time an element comes into the map, by the way. What I was about to say is that we wouldn't normally have bulky waves come that close to each other, but since I chose chaos when we started the game, the wave order is random, and we can get like 4 fast waves in a row or 5 light waves in a row or whatever. It's just completely random, or somewhat. It obviously chooses from the pool of available waves, but other than that, it's completely random which order you get them in. These are fast, and as long as you have... I was about to use a Pokemon reference there and say super effective, but technically that's true. Since I had a super effective element against that wave, it didn't matter too much that they were fast, but fast is generally one of the more dangerous modifiers. Even if you're you have towers that slow them down, they still end up disregarding that slow when their speed up goes off cooldown. Okay, time lapse we have here actually. time-lapse is also like one of the easier modifiers in my opinion to deal with. As long as you have AoE and you trigger all the time lapses early, you're quite fine. Just gonna hope. We don't have anything brilliant against this, but nature towers on their own are quite fine. So yeah. Nature towers, by the way, since I went over the darkness towers, should probably go over the nature towers as well. It attacks faster the first 3 seconds that it's out. As you can see now, we've had like 3 fast waves in a row. Oh right, I actually accidentally sold that one before. I don't know why I built nature when I have dark. Dark is strong against water. You just kind of end up in these. You almost get tunnel vision after a while if the waves are coming quick enough. And since these are fast waves, you kind of need to build the towers pretty fast in order to not get overwhelmed by them coming out so quickly. We haven't talked about our disease tower yet, which we got, and we also haven't really talked about the tower table. This is the tower table. You saw that kind of while I was showing off how the elements worked in the beginning of the video. I'm gonna open this by pressing space quite a bit because I like to remind myself which towers I actually have available to me as I'm adapting to whatever comes my way. Now we got Earth as well. Okay. So now we have 3 double towers here, or dual towers. We have Disease, Mushroom, and Howitzer. We're actually gonna replace our cannon tower up here with the Mushroom, because Mushroom deals more damage to enemies the higher their health is. So you really want this early in your defense. I'm actually gonna set it to targeting near as well. Probably shouldn't have done that. That was probably a good idea in the end. Okay, we're building mushroom towers against this wave anyway because it's like the strongest thing we have. We could have built pure nature as well. That would have worked. Normally, mushroom towers are set to targeting the strong enemies, so they only target them while they're on high health. But I prefer them to just target whatever is near to them instead. It essentially has the same effect in the end. Because they don't have that long of a range, so they will just target things as they come into range and other things walk out of their range. But I can actually use them to clear some waves every once in a while, and then I want them to be on near targeting rather than strong targeting. Okay, so this is an issue. Now we're up against the cursed wave. It's also composite, by the way, if you're wondering what that icon was. Composite means that they take 90% damage from all sources, instead of taking whatever. They don't have a weakness, essentially, is the bottom line here. We're building some howitzers. Howitzers are long-range towers that deal... the further the distance, the greater the AoE. Yeah. It deals bonus damage the closer the target is. This is an earth wave. We can chill for a bit because the mushroom towers are going to take care of this very easily, and we can just wait for our interest to tick in so we get more out of it. And since we got interest as one of our early choices, or the earliest choice in fact, I do believe that we should make use of it as much as possible. Yeah. Okay. Now we have water healers. Water is weak to darkness. Healers you want a single target against, because otherwise you might end up healing the entire group at once. Or bringing them all low, and then killing one of them accidentally, and that one heals the entire group. Essentially, you get way more value out of just killing one at a time. I also didn't mention that the selling and rebuilding towers thing is actually kind of specific to random. It's not something that you will do too much in pick, because in pick you don't get 100% of your sold tower back, simply put. The disease towers deal more damage the lower their health is, so they are a natural couple with Mushroom Tower. And this is actually a perfect wave to show that, because the Mushroom Tower is actually going to lower these guys quite a bit. We're going to build an extra here. Since they have so much health when they come in, the Mushroom Towers will lower them. And then the Disease Tower can finish them off because they are at low HP. Next up we have Fire Healers. We don't have anything great against that. By the way, the reason I haven't built a Root Tower, which is our only triple tower currently, is because the Root Tower is a support tower. It slows enemies. And I generally don't build too many support towers while I am just clearing the waves and farming interest, so to speak. Once again, it's a healer wave. We're trying to kill one at a time. I actually do have another cool tower available at the moment, in a sense. But we're gonna see if we can get that out soon. Because currently there are other towers that are just better. So the curse waves, I don't think I actually explained what they did. When a tower kills a cursed enemy, it creates this area of effect thing around them, and it slows their attack speed. You can actually see that it has minus half an attack per minute, or a second. Half an attack per minute, that would be insane. Okay, this is dangerous. This is a dangerous wave. I'm not gonna lie to you. Gonna see if we're not gonna abuse interest during this wave, because we are kind of reacted to it too slowly, which is my bad. Actually, I could, no problem. Never mind. Okay, so now we have a situation because we have light healers, and we can't build disease versus that because, well, it's a dark tower. But we did get nature 2 before, and nature is also a single target tower. So now that we have nature 2, it can effectively deal with this wave, one enemy at a time, just like the disease can. And it's very good that we have that when the disease doesn't quite cut it for this specific wave. We're about to get another element. We're walking into water 1. Getting a water 1. Should have built those a little bit earlier. Okay, so water 1. That gave us access to well tower. Okay. I'm alright with putting one down over there, and then maybe we should have a poison tower over here as well. Poison tower, similar. This is like an entry tower, which I call them. I don't know what most people refer to them as, but it's towers that are supposed to deal damage at the beginning of a wave and just lower them. We're gonna do some disease towers here. We can actually start building triple towers whenever possible, pretty much at this point. But I don't see any reason when I have a dual tower that is strong against a specific wave I'm up against. My disease towers obviously being finisher towers, which I call them. It's when you have towers that are good at killing off the wave at the end of the course, essentially. We have a flooding tower, which we could make use of here. Which probably would be a good idea. It's a good AoE tower, and this is an undead wave. We messed up the interest here a little bit, but I panicked slightly because this wave is actually dangerous to me. So we're gonna rebuild our flooding towers over here. Then we're also gonna add some disease towers just to like safeguard our lives. It's gonna spend nearly all our gold, so that interest tick is barely gonna give us anything. But it is what it is, and in the end, we did not lose any lives on this wave. Now we have light coming out, light undead. And against that, I'm just gonna do a bunch of howitzers because, well, they're Earth. Earth is strong against light. And they're AoE, and AoE is strong against undead. So it's a double strong tower in this specific scenario. Could actually keep our howitzers up, but generally speaking, level 1 triples are stronger than level 1 duels. So we're actually going to use our flooding for the next wave instead. I think maybe that was a bit of an overkill. So as you can see, time lapses are not particularly strong as long as you have any kind of AoE at all. And these flooding towers just deal with it perfectly. Okay, let's do... I think, actually... we're gonna keep... I sold some of the towers just to keep getting some more interest here. I almost feel like my flooding towers do more damage than my howitzers at the moment, but maybe that's not true. The howitzer tower does 165 damage, which then turns into math 230 because it's double damage against light. Okay, let's see what our element is. It's actually light. Okay. I'm not sure if we need to build anything here, to be honest with you. I think that maybe our towers that are currently up can take care of that. Maybe not. Okay, let's actually build a geyser here just to... We're right around wave number 30. Oh, we got a trickery. Trickery is fairly interesting. Trickery copies a nearby tower. Okay, this is actually gonna... I need to build something. I need to do something about this. I don't know why I'm hesitating so much. Probably because I didn't have any directly good tower against this wave. But I have some decent ones, and that's gonna be good enough. So essentially, since the curse waves slow in an area around the tower that killed them, you want to spread out your towers. I'm very bad at finishing thoughts while I'm trying to explain everything at the same time. We have a root tower. We're going to build that in 2 positions. Root tower slows in a line, so it's about time that we started getting some of those. The incantation tower debuffs enemies, making my towers deal more damage to them. I think we're quite fine with this wave. We're gonna build some astrals because the astrals will take care of this wave across the entire map pretty much. And my towers so far that are already out have done a really good job of just lowering the enemies quite a bit. We could also place an Ethereal somewhere around here because Ethereal... can place that along with the disease. Ethereal deals more damage as long as anything has died within its AoE. So we're gonna watch that happen here. It's 950 damage, and as soon as something dies, it went up by 100. I also don't think I explained the well tower that I placed here before, but it gives your towers a buff that slows enemies. It gives your towers a buff that increases your attack speed. The tower that is affected by it. So this one is currently affected by it. It gains an extra 0.45 attacks per second. Now this wave is kind of troublesome for sure. We're gonna build some laser towers because they're healers, and the healers don't like single targets, and laser tower is as strong as single target comes when it comes to light towers. And since that was a darkness wave, yeah. We're probably going to place a golem up here as well, and maybe an extra ice tower or two around the place. Ice towers are good versus fast waves because they're stun. They actually stun at the enemies a little bit. Some more of a mini stun, I suppose. But since the fast waves completely disregard slows under normal circumstances, you need something else to deal with them, and ice towers is a good way to do that because the mini stun actually goes through their speedy thing or their fast ability. Will I lose some lives here? It's possible. Nope, we made it through. Okay, cool. We could place a polar. It's probably a good idea to do so. Polar is one of the strongest support towers in the game, easily. It takes away a portion of their max health. Now we actually got a well tower, level 2. Or we're able to build a well tower, level 2. Because we got both nature and water, level 2. So we're going to upgrade our well towers, so they can buff our towers and give them even more... give them even more attack speed. I'm not too worried about this wave. It could cause some issues, hypothetically, but I think we're fine. We should probably, since we don't have any amazing finisher towers really, aside from Golem is fine, I suppose, but it's not super strong. I'm actually going to build an extra laser here. We actually have 3 finisher towers, technically, over here, or 4. If you want to count Ethereal as one. I did build a muck, yeah, I did. We're gonna build an extra couple of support towers over here, an extra slow and extra debuff, because when they come around here, it's not certain that these towers will hit them in a good time. For these towers to actually do some extra damage. We have a fire time-lapse coming up, so we want some water AoE. And we do happen to have that, so let's actually place that down. Currently our defenses are fairly solid. We're not having any specific issues with any kind of wave, I think. Yeah. We're up against Earth Curse next wave. I think our Root, Golem, and Incantation Towers will do very well here. And speaking of, maybe placing a Golem here would be a good idea. Golem, don't think I went over that either before, but Golem, it attacks for 3 seconds, then it stops attacking for 3 seconds. So it's a very, like, window of opportunity based tower, so to speak, and so you want it to have, like, a good chance to attack for a long period of time. This Golem that I place up here, this is actually just a copy, I think. That should be the copy by the Trickery Tower. Yeah, it was. This Golem I placed here is mainly focused on the outside part of this map here. Not so much on the inside. But whatever it gets attacked on the inside is very good as well, of course. But the main point of this is just to finish off waves that come in here and are low HP. Alright, water. Water Undead, to be more precise, proved to actually survive my little maze that I've made for myself here. I don't think there are any interesting towers currently that I can add to my defense. I suppose I could add a few astrals in the middle of the map, but I don't feel like it's too important for me to do that. Since we're still caring about the interest, obviously, and the less we build, the better, in a sense. the longer we can stay away from adding towers to our defense, the better. So I got Nature 2 there, and Nature 2 allowed me to get Wisp Tower level 2. Wisp Tower is a decent DPS option. It's not that great versus this wave though, since they are they're dark. So we're just gonna add an extra laser tower here instead. And this wave naturally will not take too much damage going through my first couple of defenses, because those are more AoE focused and just lowering the HP of the enemies. Here we have 2 laser towers. They will deal extra damage versus these dark, bulky ones. And this wave should go down fairly easily, but they might actually do a little bit of an overlap here. Nope. Managed to kill them off. Actually, I do have Ice 2 now as well. Did I always have Ice 2? I should have had, because my last element was... No, wait, my last element was actually Light 2. That's why I got it all of a sudden. So, Ice 2 is pretty good, since it is one of the only ways to deal with fast waves, and it's a decent tower to just have spread out to slow down the waves' speed across the map. Even get a few pickoffs here and there. They're dying here very quickly. This wave might actually be an issue, but luckily I just got Ice 2. So let's make use of that. And here it might be a good idea to build my Wisp 2. Wisp 2, or Wisp Tower specifically, each attack decreases its AoE by 5 but increases its damage. And since it's a level 2 version of the tower, each attack increases its damage by 80. As you can see, the damage here is actually stacking up as it attacks this wave going through here. Alright, so Nature Shielders. We don't have any fire, but we do have some single target capacity here, and as soon as they come out of their shields, they should die fairly quickly. I'm actually going to bring up the little scoreboard up here in the corner, because that shows how many creeps there are currently on the map, and that's fairly useful most of the time. We could actually place an extra Wisp down here. I think that would be alright. So let's actually set up another corner down here and just allow this Wisp to attack them as they go around. This might be dangerous, in fact. Let's go for another laser here, just to be sort of on the safe side, I was about to say, but it's probably not going to be safe either way. Oh my lord, I actually survived that. I think the laser there actually made the difference. As silly as that sounds, I think that's actually what happened. Okay, so now we have a unique opportunity in a sense, because we actually have Life 2. And Life, obviously being a nature tower, is strong against earth waves, and they are also single targets. In other words, they can actually get a few kills here and perhaps provide me with a few more lives. But if you remember from my preview of the elements when we started the video, you need more kills in order to get lives beyond when you have over 50 lives. Which obviously is a preventative measure for not stacking up lives to an absolutely insane degree. But I did in fact gain a life. I'm now at 51. And I got Fire 1, which means this is now a 6 element build. Absolutely insane. It enables us to build a few more buff towers all around. But our main bulk of the defense is going to be up here, even though we built some stuff down here. We're going to focus on making sure that whatever comes through here actually doesn't survive. And we should in fact build life towers here as finisher towers. because we already have a disease tower here as a finisher, and disease is 1 is obviously weaker than life 2, so I just built a bunch of towers, didn't really explain much. We have the corrosive tower, or corrosion tower, that we built here. Reason being that it debuffs the enemies, deals a bit of damage per second, and applies a debuff that increases damage amplification by 15% in this case because it's level 1. All of these damage amplification effects from the incantation, the jinx, which I'm about to go over soon, and the incantation towers, they actually stack together. So you can build all of them and get the benefit. We're gonna build an extra here, I think. Maybe not. Should I build an extra flamethrower? I didn't talk about the flamethrower either. We should definitely have a Nova though. That's pretty much like that speaks for itself, kind of. Nova slows in an AoE around it. It's the simplest slow tower placement wise. Because you just place it somewhere where you know that they're gonna be. But I could in fact space this out over 2 areas and just do like a Nova here and then a Nova here instead. Because then it would properly slow wherever I want my defenses to be the most effective. Let's see if I actually drop some lives here. I'm not sure. It would be fine if I dropped 1 life, because then... never mind, I will actually kill the wave. Fine. Jinx does a similar thing. Applies a debuff that causes creeps to take 6% bonus damage since being cursed. Lasts 7.5 seconds and applies every 2.5 seconds. So, I have a bunch of debuffs stacking up. I have some slows going on. I have a bunch of stuff. I could also build a blacksmith tower, which is similar to well tower in that it gives your other towers a buff. And it's just a straight up damage buff in this case. Could also use a few more trickeries. Allow the trickeries to just copy some random towers whatever they really feel like. To be honest, it doesn't matter. Could do haste here. If I had more than level 1 haste, I probably would have built a haste here. So I haven't explained what flamethrowers do, and flamethrowers are actually pretty strong. Perhaps one of these strongest and most defining towers in the game, simply because what they actually do, targets receive a stack of napalm. When the target dies, the napalm stacks explode, dealing 140 damage per stack within 400 AoE of the target. Sadly, there's no way to see stacks and debuffs and stuff on opponents. I would have liked for that. I think that will most likely get added eventually. But the point here is that obviously this stacks up, it makes the targets explode when I kill them. And that's a big deal, because even if I stack up a bunch of napalms on an enemy and then a single target goes off and kills the guy, it will still result in an explosion that deals damage in an AoE. In other words, my single target towers become AoE, in a sense. So it's a very strong tower, and very build defining in a lot of the time. So now we reach level 50, or wave 50, and wave 50 is important because I get a free pure essence. In this case, it won't actually matter because I don't have a level 3 element, and I won't get one either. But when you have all 6 elements like I do, you can actually build a periodic tower. Periodic tower deals composite damage, which is unique. The only towers in the game that actually deals composite damage is arrow, cannon, and periodic. And this one you can only build if you have all 6 elements. And I think I'm actually gonna build this one. Maybe over here, actually. I don't know. Have it focus on the outer rotation of the wave. We're not killing too many here. Each wave starts at 30 creeps. There are 25 left, or 24, 23. Okay, we're fine. We're not going to get any more elements this round. So this periodic tower is actually going to have to carry us a little bit. And we're obviously going to... We have so much gold. Holy crap. Right, we have well towers, level 2 still. Kind of forgot about that. We're definitely going to lose some lives here, sadly. I could have spent more gold in order to prevent that, but I'm just going to go for the interest because you're about to see something interesting. And yes, that was a pun. I think we could make use of the fact that we have well towers, or sorry, well, that's actually correct in a sense. Oh, we actually have incantation level 2. Should definitely upgrade that. Stronger debuff, you know, that's fairly nice. We have a lot of darkness waves coming out these last couple of ones. No, my thinking was to space out some golems here and there and just see if we can get some pickoffs. Because I have level 2 of golems. And it would make sense to just make use of that, I suppose. I think I'm actually gonna sell those and rebuild my golem here instead. We have polar level 2 as well. That is fairly important. I don't think this polar applies its buff on the enemies while they're here, pretty much. I think it applies them when they come around this way. Because the thing is that the polar buff from this one probably lasts right around up till here, I would assume. That's just an estimate though. I haven't really been paying attention too much to the waves. So I built a bunch of golem towers, and golem is nature. We're about to go up against fire. So that might come up to bite me in the hat. But I do have my wisp towers. Wisp towers are water. They're level 2. This should be quite fine. This wave is getting slaughtered. Absolutely slaughtered. Massacred. Did they ever exist? Who knows? Okay. Is this very hard? I'm not sure. I did, in fact, lose lives. I shouldn't say anything. We do have Windstorm. I actually completely forgot about this tower. Windstorm. By the way, I don't like getting 6 element builds. But at least it allowed me to show off most of the towers in the game. Or all of them, technically. Windstorm creates a tornado or hurricane or whatever, and that causes them to be slowed and to also take damage over time. So it's a pretty decent tower. It's just another one of the slows. I've always liked Windstorm though, so yeah. This is the last normal wave, by the way. Wave 55. They're about to walk by my periodic tower right now, and hopefully that will kill off a few of them. But there's probably going to be some of them that actually get all the way through here. But I won't lose too many lives, and I still have gold to gain before the last wave comes in. Alright. Since we have every damn element in the game, we can actually set up some towers where they would normally be suited to be set up. for example, this middle part here should have impulse towers. They deal more damage the further away the enemy they're hitting is, so they will actually target far by default, which is a good thing. Then we have quake towers. And now you see one of the very infamous bugs that happens quite often, or it's not really a bug, I suppose. But a trickery tower just copied this golem tower, and that was just a side already placed a quake tower, so now they're inside of each other. Should probably make another trickery over here, actually. So this part of the defense feels pretty strong. I'm not going to bother too much with it. But we could definitely do some things down here. Could also add a Nova down here, actually, just to slow them down. Now that this is actually the waves that you normally refer to as Ronalds, but the thing about it is that I have another skin on them, which makes them look like fallen angels or something along those lines. The quake towers here, every 10th attack they will send out a shockwave around them. Let's see here. There, you saw it. There you actually saw some of the enemies. Right around here, the enemies are gaining some HP back. That's because the polar buff is actually wearing off right around there. So that's why that might look weird. Gonna place haste tower here. Haste tower is pretty nice. It speeds up as it fires more. So we'll just increase in attack speed, as you can see. Over time, I think it's reached its maximum here, but it's still slowed down because somewhere along in the middle of all of these enemies, there was a cursed enemy. The thing about Ronalds, or the last couple of waves, is that they are random in which modifiers they have. So this one that I've selected currently is an undead. If I select another one here, he's time-lapse. That one happened to be time-lapse as well, actually. This is cursed. Maybe we should do Polar 2 down here as well, and just shuck up, shuck a few money towers into the mix here. Money towers give you increased gold bounty on kills, and they're actually fairly decent DPS as well. They're similar to laser towers in that they are essentially finisher towers, and they're good versus tanky targets, simply put. So these waves is actually what gets you your score at the end of a run. And getting above 100, above 500, and above 1000 is an achievement each on every map. I think I didn't really mention that, but there are, of course, a couple of different maps. I decided to go with this forest one because what's it called? It's the old classic. This is actually the one that the game started on, so to speak. This is actually a tower defense that originated from Warcraft 3. And that's where I originally played it all these years ago, and I was a beta tester for it. And then it moved on to StarCraft 2, I think, first, and then into Dota 2. And then eventually it ended up being its own game, and I was very happy to find it on Steam all of a sudden. Because I've always loved this tower defense, specifically. Since it's so much more about adapting and a bit less boring and passive than other tower defenses, in my opinion. Especially if you're playing multiplayer. Now you just play a single player match in order to show off the game a little bit to you. But I can actually record a multiplayer match and show it to you as well, so you can see how that's really where the game shines in the end. But nevertheless, we're about to die here. I think we're going to die here. I'm not sure. Nevertheless, I think you enjoy. I think you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the match and the game. and that hopefully you will look to pick this game up as well. If you do and you want to play a few rounds with me or something, go ahead and hit me up in the YouTube comments or whatever. But I think that's enough for one video. I might do some extra coverage of this game later on, because I know there's a lot of changes coming up in the future, since I'm a gameplay tester for it. So, that I'm excited about, by the way, very excited about. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.